This week I watched Hellboy, the 2019 film starring everyone's lovable sheriff.
You want to see real crazy?
It was a complete mess.
Are you serious?
The film lacked any sort of narrative structure, storytelling cohesion, character development, had rushed visuals, and it was absolutely over-the-top gory. However, like a car wreck, it was hard, so hard to look away.
I get really...
After plans for a sequel following Hellboy the Golden Army fell apart, the studio decided to go on a completely new direction with the character. Indie horror director Neil Marshall was brought on to bring darker, more horror elements to the character, as well as the series' first R rating.
We cannot wait to see you in Hellboy.
Stranger Things favorite David Harbour would be brought on to replace Ron Perlman in the lead character role. Hellboy is one of those films where the behind-the-scenes issues might be far more fascinating than the actual final product itself. The proverb, "too many cooks in the kitchen," was evident with constant tinkering from the film's producers and even the actors themselves. Cinematographer Sam McCurdy was actually fired to send a message to the film's director.
You're a mess.
Harbour and Ian McShane, who would play Hellboy's father, constantly rewrote their character lines. One insider went as far to say that Marshall and the producers had several long, heated disputes over a tree.
Nice.
Where do I even begin with this film? It follows no real narrative structure. Characters are still being introduced more than a half hour into the film. The first 10 minutes, considered the selling pitch of any movie script, doesn't really set the scope of the film. It suffers from the "and then" syndrome of characters constantly moving scene to scene with the "and then they go here, and then they go there." The film starts off with a long-winded exposition scene from Mila Jovovich, the film's villainess. Jovovich plays the Blood Queen, an ancient British sorceress who was killed and chopped to pieces by King Arthur and Merlin. We are told the importance and the dangers of her character rather than being shown. Instead of showing her massacre villages, it's just explained, hey, she's a bad guy.
The immortal witch Vivian Nimue had spread her deadly plague, threatening to wipe mankind off the face of the earth.
The film also decides to go the black and white route for this scene, which is supposed to give the film an old look, but just makes it look really cheap. Really, the problem comes with the next scene, Hellboy's introduction. The first film smartly used Agent Myers, played by Rupert Evans, as the audience's vision in the world. Agent Myers, thrown in the world of paranormal, is a fish out of water. He's us, reacting and seeing the world for the first time. His first interaction with Abe Sapien and then the title character Hellboy are big, meaningful, and really set the tone for how the character is revered in the world. The 2019 film opens with Hellboy walking on the street in Tijuana. He's searching for an old agent friend of his that went missing. A few issues immediately appear with this scene. One, the 2004 film immediately said that Hellboy is considered a myth.
Why is it in these pictures, the pictures of aliens, UFO, the Yeti, Hellboy, why is it they're always out of focus?
A Bigfoot in our world. So the Bureau for Paranormal Research and Defense tried to hide him from our world. Here, he's walking on the street with a hood on. You'll probably say that maybe people wouldn't notice the red-figured giant, but then he goes into arena where the agent he's looking for immediately notices him. The two then fight, with the agent revealing that he's in fact a monster. The crowd leaves and flees, but again, it's not clear if the world is aware of their existence or not. Harbour's Hellboy is said to be younger, less mature than Perlman's take on the character. This is evident, but never really changes throughout the entirety of the film.
Why'd you bring me back anyway?
Don't tell me it's because you missed me.
You couldn't have knocked?
Your moral high ground is founded on a pile of bullshit.
I'm not taking orders from you, old man.
The battle with his father, Professor Broom, played by Ian McShane, is literally the same argument they've had the length of the entire film. So it's explained that Hellboy, a long time ago, had helped a couple who believed their child was no longer really their kid. Come to find out, it was a monster, a shapeshifter disguised as their child. This monster would go on to set the plot forward, seeking revenge against Hellboy for taking away his life. The actual child that Hellboy rescued would then go on to be Alice, Hellboy's friend? The pig shapeshifter decided to seek out the Blood Queen, who was waiting to be unearthed to seek out her vengeance on the world for chopping her into little pieces.
Of course!
It's some of the most convoluted crap I've seen in a while. Alice is introduced through a subplot with Hellboy. Professor Broom, Hellboy's father, sends him on a mission to help the Osiris Club, a club of gentlemen that basically seek out and destroy monstrous evils. They share with Hellboy that in a valley there's giants, man-eating giants that are affecting their way of life. Again, it's never quite explained if the world is just okay okay with giants walking around. These aren't like big friendly giants, but cannibals that are literally eating people. Wouldn't that be something the military could just shoot some missiles at? But no, it's a really convoluted way to show Hellboy getting betrayed by the Osiris Club, again, for no reason.
Then what?
The world building here just doesn't make any damn sense. Hellboy, Alice, and Jin from Lost, I can't really remember his character's name, but his only plot development is he turns into a CGI tiger thing. Anyway, they track down the Blood Queen to where she was originally killed. Unfortunately, plans go wrong and she poisons Alice, forcing the trio to seek out King Arthur's right-hand man, Merlin. So immediately the next scene, they're at the tomb of where Merlin is buried. Hellboy, without really even thinking twice, immediately finds Merlin. No build-up, no majestic sense. Merlin saves Alice and also informs Hellboy that he's a descendant of King Arthur, the only one capable of wielding Excalibur and killing the Blood Queen. However, in doing so, it will turn him into the one true evil. So much is wrong with this scene that it makes my head hurt. 1. Merlin has no idea who Hellboy is, but immediately knows who Hellboy is.
Have you finally come to claim my soul?
That's the other guy.
Your story whispered itself into my ear, and I realized fate had something else in store for us both.
Okay.
Hellboy's mother, long-distant relative to King Arthur, had the hippity with a demon, or perhaps the devil with himself. How does that even work? Ugh. Eventually the trio of Hellboy, Jin from Lost, and Alice, who makes characters do this weird, horrific thing. Look at the CG, just look at this. They eventually track down the villainous Blood Queen to St. Paul's Cathedral in London. For all that Milla Jovovich is trying to do with the script, for as dangerous as she is, she doesn't really start doing anything dangerous until the end. Hellboy then decides to embrace his destiny, take Excalibur and wield it. Doing so opens up the portal to hell, which unleashes demons that start brutally murdering people. Beyond the over-the-top gore associated with this, the Blood Queen entered the city of London, destroying and killing tons of people, so much so that they made news announcements. Why are people not cleared of this already, or just going about their day?
What are you doing on the computer? Go outside, so beautiful!
Hellboy then defeats the Blood Queen. Then the trio goes on another mission that doesn't involve the plot, but just shows they're a team. It's great, whatever. End of movie.
I quit.
I did my best to summarize the plot of this film because it's all over the place. Clearly, writer Andrew Cosby had a lot of ideas. Perhaps director Marshall even had more ideas to interject. However, it's clear so many ideas were interjected in the script that it couldn't even breathe. The film's rather small budget by superhero standards was so far exceeded that a lot of the special effects just looked downright awful. Like this. What is this? If you're going to give the 2019 film any praise, it's that David Harbour really held his own on the character. Harbour's take on Hellboy could be absolutely interchangeable with Perlman's take, who was also fantastic in the role. Beyond that, the 2019 film really fails to make an impact that the original did. Del Toro's atmosphere really felt appropriate for the character. It was weird, it was dark, and it felt similar to the world we live in, just a bit off. The 2019 film really failed to develop any sort of atmosphere, and while some of the makeup designs were pretty great, the abundance of special effects really failed to give the film any sort of intangibility. Hell, I think the special effects used in the 2004 film might even be better than the ones used 15 years later. Really, the other driving nail in the film's coffin is the supporting cast. None of the characters are interesting. That and some of the acting just feels entirely flat.
What's with you monsters anyway? One of them touched you funny as a kid?
No thanks.
Please?
No thanks.
The film really needed that companionship, that camaraderie that Hellboy shared with Abe Sapien in the original films.
Could you please be a little careful? Baby.
It's difficult to crap on a film that's clearly trying to do something different. For what it's worth, the character designs are interesting and some of the action set pieces are fun. Harbour gave it his all as Hellboy, and his performance alone can really make the film entertaining. However, just about everything else is executed so poorly. Too many ideas are thrown at the wall, hoping something sticks. The special effects look about 10 years dated already, and the dialogue is just bad.
Then we make sure she doesn't come back for the sequel.
Henry Paul. She got you with her perfumed words and her perky breaths.
Perhaps with all the cooks in the kitchen, directing and giving their vision on the film, people just cared too much about the property. However, the final product is a disaster, one that's at the very least entertaining? If nothing else, the film should serve as a cautionary as to the dangers of what happens when too many people stick their hands in the cookie jar. If you really want to enjoy the character, your best bet is the Del Toro films that, while aren't faithful adaptations, are still quality films. Meh, what do I know?